to say we told you so, but we totally told you how that Coors Field lease was going to go down.
The Rockies are taking all of the risk. The fans get all of the benefit.
A simple question for the mayor of Aurora. Is Aurora a sanctuary city?
No.
He thinks if President Trump takes on Aurora, all of Colorado is going down along with it. We set out to verify if it's true what CNN is saying, that a company here fired 80% of its workers for getting high. She's been on the same block since the Depression. Nettie knows Denver.
It's what it was, what it is, and what it's becoming.
And the state would love your help figuring out which kind of fish are stupid enough to get caught. Next. The Rockies are making their biggest off-season acquisition. Not a closer, not a new bat. It's a parking lot. Just like we told you they likely would. The Rockies have a new lease for Coors Field through 2047. They'll pay for improvements to the park in return for a prime piece of real estate right next door. A lot of pro teams are looking to snag valuable real estate around their stadiums these days, and the Rockies have been eyeing what's now a parking lot between the Chop House and Jackson's next to Coors Field. This new lease calls for the Rockies to pay the Stadium District, a group that represents us taxpayers, $75 million to rent Coors Field, and then another $125 million to lease the parking lot and develop it.
It'll be a mixed-use development. I mean, there could be a hotel, there could be retail, there could be apartments and condominiums there, but all that is built there will benefit the stadium and the surrounding neighborhoods.
And there's a new wrinkle from when Next broke the news about the parking lot swap a couple weeks ago, and it involves another parking lot, Lot C, the one that stretches from outside right field up into the Rhino neighborhood. This new deal would allow for 700-plus parking spots on the far end to be developed as well, to fund improvements at Coors Field. But then that many parking spots, 710, would have to be added somewhere else. Governor Hickenlooper tells Next he doesn't know of any communities in Colorado or any state agencies here that are in violation of the law laid down by the Trump administration this week as it threatens to defund sanctuary cities. This is Section 1373 that we talked about yesterday. It tells state and local officials that they're not allowed to prohibit people from talking to ICE agents.
Still not clear exactly what the definition is going to be in terms of, what is a sanctuary city, what isn't a sanctuary city. As far as I'm aware, and everything I've read, the communities in Colorado are doing everything they can to make sure that people who do not have proper documentation, that are connected to serious criminal activity, that they are detained and deported. And there might be examples or somebody who slips through the cracks occasionally, but that is not happening at any scale, to my knowledge.
So you also have cities that are trying to position themselves as progressive and welcoming to people who are here illegally without stepping over that legal line and risking federal penalties. Case in point, the utterly toothless resolution that's being considered by Aurora City Council, which would declare Aurora to be a welcoming city, not a sanctuary city. Aurora Mayor Steve Hogan, a Republican, spoke with me today about words versus actions on immigration policy.
What happens is it becomes a political football. The right uses it for one set of reasons, the left uses it for another set of reasons, and everybody else gets caught in the middle. As we tried to explain to folks here this week, Attorney General Sessions is threatening to defund sanctuary cities that violate its 8 U.S.C. Section 1373, but it's a rule about communication, how Aurora talks to the feds, to immigration officials. Are you confident that Aurora is in complete compliance, the jail, the police department, the city, with 1373, and that you do not prohibit or restrict communication with ICE? Absolutely confident. And my expectation is when the administration moves forward with whatever it is they're going to do, as it relates to some federal grants, they're going to send out a piece of paper that says if you want this federal grant, you have to check the box that says that you comply with 1373. And Aurora will check the box. And as we've explained, Aurora does not honor the voluntary detainers beyond when somebody would otherwise be held at your detention center. That's right. Same as Denver. Same as Denver. Same as Weld County. Same as any county in Colorado. I think in all probability, if Aurora gets in trouble, every city and every county in Colorado is in trouble. We'll return to our conversation with Mayor Hogan later on next to discuss whether the proposed increases in military spending might come to Buckley Air Force Base. And we'll talk about how Aurora managed to botch that whole wolf-dog controversy. The national media seems intent on convincing Americans that everyone in Colorado is high.
A recent article from CNN said some unnamed oil trucking company here fired 80% of its employees because they failed drug tests, mostly for marijuana. 80%. Brandon Rittiman's along now to verify if that's true.
It sounded a little extreme to us when we saw it. The article says one oil and trucking company in Colorado did random drug screening last year and flunked 80% of their employees, mostly for marijuana, Faye said. Faye is Calvina Faye. She heads the Drug Free America Foundation. And for all the federal regulators and experts who told us there's no way a trucking company fired 80% of its staff for failing drug tests, our best debunking of this claim comes from Faye herself. She says this isn't quite what she told CNN. Faye told us the company has many locations. A supervisor at one of those locations suspected there might be a drug problem there.
They had reason to conduct a random drug test on their workforce at a particular location, not the entire company, but at a particular location.
And at that trouble spot, she says, 80% of the tests came back positive. Now, we can't verify that happened since Faye isn't going to share the company's name for privacy reasons. But what she told us sounds a lot less shocking than what was in that CNN article. Nationally, more people are failing drug tests. According to Quest Diagnostics, about 9% of tests come back positive. That's up from 7% a couple years earlier. If you're trying to show that more adults in Colorado are using pot since it became legal, you don't need wild exaggeration. The federal survey that comes out every year shows 79% more adults over 26 use pot any given month in Colorado than before legalization. But it's still not rampant. About 14.5% of Coloradans over 26 reported using pot in the past month when asked, and that's up from 8% in 2011, the year before legalization. Bottom line, Colorado adults of legal age do use more pot than they did before Amendment 64, but not so much that a trucking company here had to fire almost all of its drivers. See something you want verified? Tell us in an email. Just shoot us a note, verify@9news.com. For Next, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
And you know, good for CNN, because after we called them on this, they followed up with their source and published a clarification, telling CNN's readers and viewers exactly what Brandon Rittiman just told us here. Our next question, what is that massive building that construction crews are working on near Wash Park in Denver by the corner of Bayard and Downing? Looms large over the Wash Park West neighborhood. Project's called Country Club Towers 2 and 3. The building's 32 stories tall. It'll have 558 apartments and 985 parking spots to go along with them. They broke ground on this project in May of 2015. We work right up the street, but I swear many of us didn't notice until it pierced the skyline. Prepare to pay if you want to live up top and look down on the rest of us. That's because the penthouse will rent for $6,800 a month. The studios start at $1,600 a month. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a statewide call to head to the Pastorius Reservoir down near Durango. Colorado Parks and Wildlife is asking for the public's help sorting the dumb fish from the smart ones. They've stocked Pastorius Reservoir with 900 new rainbow trout, 2 different strains of trout. And they're asking for the public to measure the catchability of the 2 types. State tossed in 800 trout that are 8 to 10 inches long and 100 big ones up to 20 inches long. And they're hoping that that's enough to lure you down to measure the catchability, to see how these trout respond to different types of bait, lures and flies. So if you're an angler or know one, there's information online about how all this works. And if you haven't renewed your fishing license, here's your reminder. 2016 licenses expire on Saturday. Next time you're stuck on I-70, you should rock out to a song about getting stuck on I-70. Whether it's worth the drive this weekend hinges on the forecast for Saturday snow here and in the mountains. Meet your new best friend. Her name is Nettie, and she's seen Denver grow for 92 years.
When I do my own cooking and everything else now in my mind, the doctor tells me I'm sharp.
She's like the queen of Sloan Lake, or Sloan's Lake, and hey, I bet you she could settle that for us. Next. May I make a recommendation? You know, point you towards something that didn't come from our office but is worth your time. Listen closely now. This one's a song.
Oh, I-70, why you doing this to me? Don't you know I got somewhere else to be? Not sitting here in traffic, just about to lose my mind. I-70 release me and send me on down the line.
Yeah, that's right. There is now a song about being stuck on traffic on I-70. You know, been there, done that, wrote a song about it. The Golden Bass string band called Rapid Grass has a sweet music video for their song I-70 Release Me. Alex Johnson, who sings and plays the mandolin, says he actually wrote the song while waiting in traffic on I-70 on the way up to Loveland. You can find the lyrics and the whole music video on the Next Facebook page.
Love that. If you can carry a tune, good for you. Carry some chains with you on Saturday if you're headed into the high country, and some good snow tires will be handy as well. A stronger, colder storm is headed our way. But today's storm, it's out of here, and it is just beautiful in downtown Denver tonight. Be nice tomorrow, and about 10 degrees warmer for many areas. Seasonal high temperatures along the Front Range today. Next system already knocking on the door in the Pacific Northwest. It'll dive into the Great Basin. It is forecast to move into southeastern Colorado, where it will intensify, pulling in some colder air. Out ahead of our most recent storm, we're tracking severe weather tonight. We'll have more on 9 News at 9 and 10 about the hail and tornadoes across 6 states in the southern Plains states area. High pressure brings us a beautiful day tomorrow. Moisture will be moving into the mountains, though, by this time tomorrow night. No winter weather or travel advisories posted yet, but that will change Friday night into Saturday. Beautiful evening in the metro area, minus those high clouds coming in after midnight. And we'll look for overnight low temperatures well above freezing, close to 40 for some areas. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine, and we'll look for those numbers to jump way above average into the mid-60s. Rain showers moving in Friday, and it could be heavy wet snow for Saturday. Storm moves out again on Sunday, and beautiful forecast for the first part of next week.
Kathy, thanks. Nettie Moore is kind of a big deal in Denver. She's lived in this city for 92 years. She has not just seen change, she has shaped change. And she shared her story with our photojournalist, Mike Grady.
To me, I tell everybody, whether you're Christian or what, this is God's country. You're most welcome. You come in and everything else and see my things and everything, and ask any questions. You're free to ask any question you want, and I can show you some of my notebooks and the questions and everything else. My name is Nettie Moore, and I've lived in Denver since 1925. Well, this here is how it used to look when I was a little girl. No streets, no curbs. You watched the movie Little House on the Prairie, but I lived it. I lived it. The coal oil stove, the lamps, and the coal stoves, and everything. It was just exactly like Little House on the Prairie. Yes, I'm very selective of what my name is on. Well, they'll see it on the Nettie Moore apartments behind me. And my thing was, you know, people have to have places to live. Yeah. We all have to have a place to live, no matter what our income is. Oh, is that who the park is named? How did you do that? How did you get a park named after you? And I tell you, with a lot of work. They're playing together. They don't look at the color of their skin. They're all out there as just, you're my friend. Denver itself, I love it, and I wouldn't want to live nowhere else. You know what? Yes, it used to be Little House on the Prairie, as I say, but look what it's become.
And you know, Nettie's neighborhood's been the subject of a couple of requests for a round of our place name game on Next. Is it Sloan Lake, Sloan's Lake, Sloan apostrophe S Lake? Let's ask Nettie Moore. What do you say?
Well, because it used to be 2 individual lakes and everything else, and then they took the island out and everything and put it into one. But it was the 2 lakes, and then they just joined it in one. That's why it's with the S, made it plural. Salones.
I've never heard it described that way before, so there you have it, right from Nettie herself. Of course, the debate continues online about whether or not there's an apostrophe involved in this mix. If you have a town, a city, a county, a neighborhood that you've always wanted to know how to pronounce, maybe settle a debate with a friend or a family member, send it our way. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Remember the dog that Aurora thought was a wolf? We'll ask the mayor about that. If a DNA test comes back and your Pomeranian is 1% wolf, then it could be seized by the city. An old portrait begins a new journey. And I've learned that every single person in town except me has had a ride on this horse. Next. President Trump has issued a somewhat nebulous call for increased military spending. And today I asked Aurora Mayor Steve Hogan whether he's hearing that some of those funds might be funneled to Buckley Air Force Base, which the mayor is proud of saying is an economic driver for the whole metro area.
They put almost $1 billion a year into the metro area economy, but they are also more than half dark. They do things we will never know about. And so I think that what we have to be aware of is that an impact in the defense budget will have an impact at Buckley. A lot of people don't realize that every branch of the military has an assignment at Buckley, even though it's an Air Force base. So, for example, if the prime beneficiary of the budget is the Navy, my guess is there'll be some money coming into Buckley.
And while the mayor was here, I had to ask him about the Capone controversy, family dog that was seized running loose by Aurora Animal Services and then held for 5 weeks while the city sorted out, including in court, whether Capone was a banned wolf-dog hybrid. He wasn't, he was just a dog. Capone's back home now. Mayor Hogan defends his city's animal control workers and says some of the delay was due to legal wrangling outside the city's control. But the mayor's not too fond of how the city handled the public anger over Capone.
I think oftentimes government gets behind the curve. We're not sure what to say, how to say it, because the city attorney is saying be careful of that, and the PR person is saying and be careful of this.
Did you guys lose the public relations battle on this one? I mean,
yeah,
this blew up in a big way.
We did lose the public relations battle. There's no question about it. We lost that battle.
Mayor Hogan says he's open to clarifying the city's policy, which is pretty nebulous. He said he's open to making sure that a dog with a trace of wolf blood doesn't end up seized and in trouble, but he says such a change would need to be proposed and passed through City Council. Brief update now on a story that we brought you a couple of weeks ago about a dusty old photo of an officer found in the attic of the VFW in Fort Collins. We learned his name was Del Bonham. He served in World War II. He's a POW. He died in Colorado in 1983 and was largely forgotten. The VFW up there reached out to us when they couldn't find his family. We tracked down Del's daughter in San Antonio, Texas. Her name is Helen, and today the VFW in Fort Collins mailed out that portrait to Helen in Texas, and we'll be sure to show you her smiling face when it arrives. If you've watched Next this week, you've heard just a bit about the mechanical horses that cost a penny to ride at King's Superstores. Yesterday I clarified the horses still only a penny to ride, not a quarter like I accidentally said. And people have pointed out to me again that I shouldn't say that these are just for kids because, well, look. Kristen Ryan posted this photo on the Next Facebook page last night. A lot of joy in that photo. This is from the Littleton King Supers. A little horse history for you. Lloyd King started the penny horse rides in 1947, and the rides are still a penny today because of his legacy. Your feedback, defending me from the kind viewer who accused me of aiding and abetting murder. Next. Dawn Murray writes in, Kyle, you sure do attract the wackos. I don't know if I would say that, Dawn. Next seems to attract people with passion. Passion on all sides of all kinds of different issues. And I think that's a good thing. You spend 30 minutes watching a news program, it doesn't make you think or feel a thing. Now that would be a problem. See you next time.